All right, let's talk about transforming your study habits. In this breakdown, we're diving into the 6 pillars of intelligent learning. These are the secrets that will take you from those frustrating all-night cram sessions to actually building efficient, lasting knowledge. Let's get right into it.
So, does this sound familiar? You put in the hours, you've got highlighters in 5 different colors, you're staring at your notes until your eyes glaze over, and then, when the test comes, or you actually need the information, poof, it's just gone. It is one of the most maddening feelings for anyone trying to learn something. Well, there's actually a name for that feeling. It's called the illusion of competence. And this is the main bad guy in the story of ineffective studying. See, your brain gets tricked. It mistakes the comfortable feeling of recognizing something on a page for the real skill of knowing it. Just because it looks familiar doesn't mean you've learned a single thing. So how do we beat this illusion? The whole goal here is to shift from studying hard to studying smart. And as you can see, this isn't about logging more hours. It's about making the time you do spend actually count. It's about turning passive review into an active workout for your brain. Okay, so our first major idea is built on this one simple concept. Train, don't just review. If you want to build real knowledge that sticks, you have to treat it like a workout. You have to actively train your brain, not just passively hope the information will somehow absorb itself. This right here, this is the fundamental rule for all effective learning. Seriously, think of your brain like a muscle. You don't build biceps by just watching someone else lift weights, right? You have to do the lifting yourself. Learning is exactly the same. It happens when you force your brain to pull information out, not when you're just trying to stuff more in. So how do we actually put that into practice? The simplest, most powerful way is with the active recall method. It's easy. After you read a chapter or watch a part of a lecture, you just close everything. Shut the book, put away the notes, then force yourself to explain the key ideas, either out loud or by writing them down, completely from memory. Only then do you open the book back up to see how you did.
And here's something you absolutely have to remember. That moment of struggle, when you're racking your brain trying to remember an answer, that's not failure. That feeling is the feeling of learning. That's your brain physically building and strengthening the connections that form a memory. So you have to embrace that difficulty. It means it's working. For our second pillar, we've got the Feynman technique, which I like to think of as the ultimate test of whether you really understand something. Here's the deal. If you can't explain a concept in simple, basic terms, you don't actually get it. The magic here is that trying to simplify forces you to build a true mental model. It ruthlessly exposes the gaps in your knowledge so you can go back and fix only those weak spots. So, we've got a couple of ways to get information into your brain effectively. But what about the next challenge? Making it stay there. Our next 2 pillars are all about beating the brain's natural tendency to forget. This is how we build long-term memory. Oh man, we have all been there. That all-night cram session fueled by coffee that gets you a passing grade on the exam. And in the moment, it feels like a huge victory. But it's a short-lived one, because cramming only creates fragile, temporary memories. You haven't actually learned a thing for the long haul. The answer to cramming is our 3rd pillar, spaced repetition. Instead of one giant panicked review session, you do multiple, super short reviews spread out over time. And look at this timeline. Notice how the time you spend drops from 10 minutes on day 2 to just a couple of minutes by day 30. Every time you review, you're sending a signal to your brain that says, hey, this is important, don't delete it. And that's how you build a rock-solid memory. And the best part is you don't even have to keep track of this schedule yourself. There are amazing and often free tools like Anki and Quizlet that do all the work for you. They're like smart flashcard apps that figure out the exact moment you're about to forget something and then show it to you. It makes this technique incredibly easy to use every single day. Now, for our 4th pillar, which is something called interleaving. And honestly, this one challenges the way most of us were taught to study. We tend to do what's called block practice, hammering away at one topic until we master it, and then moving to the next. But all the research shows that mixing things up, or interleaving, works way better. So why on earth does mixing topics work better? It's because it stops your brain from going on autopilot. When you switch between different kinds of problems, like going from math to history to chemistry, your brain has to actively figure out the right strategy for each one. This builds mental flexibility. And it's basically a simulation of a real exam, where you know the questions are always going to be all jumbled up. Okay, we're on the home stretch. In our final section, we're going to cover the last two pillars. We've talked about how to learn and how to remember. Now, let's talk about mastering your focus and creating the perfect environment for deep work. Pillar number 5 is the world-famous Pomodoro technique. It's so simple, but it is unbelievably powerful for managing your attention. You just set a timer for 25 minutes and work with 0 distractions. Then you take a true 5-minute break to recharge, and that means actually getting up and walking away from your screen. That ticking clock creates just enough urgency to keep you locked in. And speaking of distractions, you might want to brace yourself for this next number. Research has shown that just having your smartphone visible on your desk, even if it's turned off, face down, can reduce your effective IQ by up to 10 points. That's wild, right? It's because a part of your brain is actively working to not look at it, and that drains your mental energy. Which brings us to our 6th and final pillar: optimize your environment. It's simple. First, make your phone a pain to get to. Put it in another room, create some friction. Second, if you like studying with music, choose something without lyrics. You want to go for things like binaural beats, lo-fi, or even video game soundtracks. They're literally designed for focus and won't hijack the language centers of your brain. So, we've covered all 6 pillars. We have all the pieces. Now, let's put it all together into a single 60-minute power session, a routine you can literally start using tonight. And here it is, this 60-minute power session. First, 2 minutes to plan. Be specific. What are you going to master? Next, your first 25-minute Pomodoro spread, where you're learning the new stuff. Then, a crucial 5-minute break away from your desk. Your second 25-minute sprint is pure recall. No looking at your notes. Use active recall or the Feynman technique. And finally, in the last 3 minutes, you quickly review what you struggled with and tag it for your next spaced repetition session. This is what intelligent learning looks like in action. So, we've laid out the entire framework, from how to actively recall information to how to set up your room for success. The only question left is the one for you. Which one of these powerful pillars are you going to build in your very next study session?